The year is 2000. Bill Clinton is president of the US. The PlayStation 2 releases worldwide, and Leonardo Notarbartolo moves into a tiny office in the Antwerp Diamond District, Belgium. Fast forward 3 years, it's not an office anymore. It's a crime scene. The quiet street isn't calm. It's bustling with police activity, and at the center of it all is an Italian man and a salami sandwich. This is the Antwerp Diamond Heist. Leonardo Notarbartolo was born in 1952 in the city of Palermo, Italy, where his cousin is supposedly the leader of the Sicilian mafia. As a kid, he did typical kid stuff like, stealing milk from the milkman, stealing cars later as a teenager. Honestly, he did a lot of stealing in his long life, and that never went away. Which brings us to the office he rented in Antwerp in 2000. Here was the business model. Yeah, that was a model summed up pretty well. He and his group of petty jewelry thieves break into jewelry shops in Italy, steal smaller diamonds, then give them to Notarbartolo, who then sells them for profit in Antwerp. Solid business model, nobody suspects a thing. Until the coffee shop meeting. So Notarbartolo is having espresso when the dealer walks in. So he coughs and then offers Notarbartolo 100,000 euros if he can go into the vault, just inspect it, and see whether it can or can't be broken into. That's it. That's all he has to do for 100,000 euros. Notarbartolo goes into Antwerp Diamond Center, and he's practically best friends with the people working there, so he flashes a few IDs and gets into the vault because these guys leave it open all day. But the thing is, he has a pen in his coat pocket that has a camera. So he's able to Jacques Louzeau and spy his way through the vault and take pictures of the security measures, all while the guards are none the wiser. So here's a list of everything standing in between the dealer and the diamonds. The vault is located underground, meaning an elevator is needed to reach it. There's a 3-ton vault door with 6 layers of security on it alone. There's a lock with a combination from 0 to 99, meaning that there are millions of possible answers. If you do try drilling, guess what? There's a seismic alarm. On top of that, there's a magnetic field formed by plates that needs to be disarmed with a code. Cameras are all around tracking video and thermal activity. And finally, there's a key that's almost impossible to replicate. Almost. Five months pass. Notarbartolo thinks nothing of the dealer, and he's happily enjoying his 100k on things. Then he receives a call. Basically, the dealer wants Notarbartolo to meet up with him in an abandoned warehouse outside of Belgium. So Notarbartolo goes to the warehouse, where he meets a dealer, a group of people, and the black tarp. The black tarp's pulled off, and it reveals a life-size replica of the same Antwerp diamond vault he went in 5 months earlier. The dealer really meant to follow through with the break-in. Along with Replica are the 3 crewmates who specialize in break-in. First off, we have the Genius. He's able to disable any alarm system ever created with the use of his alarm knowledge. Next, there's a monster who is tall and bulging with straight-up Italian steroids. I mean, the name kind of explains itself. And finally, there was the King of Keys, who had the one key to bind them all. And yeah, no, I'm kidding. He was just able to make keys really, really well. Together, they assembled only syndicate willing or able enough to take down the world's largest diamond stash. But they weren't going in unprepared. To prepare for the heist, Notarbartolo did a few things. First off, he went again into the vault, and nobody suspected a thing, obviously, and installed a tiny camera in the vault room that was able to transmit video using a small antenna to a nearby video receiver stored in the fire extinguisher. He now knew the code for the vault. Finally, he practiced with the crew in the abandoned warehouse to ensure that the plan went without a hitch. It did. The night of February 15th, Venus Williams was having a tennis match, meaning everyone in Antwerp was on the other side of town. Perfect time for a heist. So, here's how it went. Notarbartolo was a mastermind, but he never actually stepped foot in the vault after his daily inspections. Instead, he got his childhood friend, who he refers to as Speedy, to communicate what's happening between the 2 groups. Remember Speedy, he becomes important later. The King of Key lockpicks a door handle of an old building. The crew moves inside and has access to Antwerp Diamond Center, through a garden which doesn't have any video cameras. There was a thermal sensor, however. The genius pulls out a polyester shield, scales the building, and puts his shield over the thermal sensor. Nobody's getting tracked tonight. So everyone scrambles into the building, all while the genius is deactivating the other alarms. Once they're all in, the real challenge awaits: the vault. The first obstacle was the magnetic field sensor. So the genius takes out aluminum foil, places it on the magnetic alarms, while unscrewing them and moving them away from the door. The plan worked. The next obstacle was the keys. The King of Keys would have to use his expertise as a blacksmith and be able to make a duplicate key on the spot, and the keys were hanging right there in the utility room next to the vault in plain sight. Who runs this place? So the key was easily placed in. The genius was able to enter the code he obtained from the video and the door opened, but they weren't done just yet. There were still sensors in the vault, so now it was up for the monster to do the final task of disarming the system. He walked 11 steps exactly into the room, stuck his arm into the ceiling, all in pitch black, mind you. He then stripped one of the wires and inserted a new wire that rerouted the flow of electricity, effectively disabling the alarm. They were in. 5:30, the time they left the building, they were able to steal 109 boxes worth of contents. In total, it took an hour to take all the bags upstairs, even though it only took a few minutes to steal the actual contents, and it took under a minute to rush with them in the car before returning to Notaro Bartolo's apartment. The genius is making salami sandwiches for the crew, while everybody gets settled for the moment of truth. They open the bags. Satchels and all the goodies in them, think Scrooge McDuck, etc., you get it. But when they open up one of the satchels, there wasn't anything inside. "Futoto idioto," Notaro Bartolo yells at one of the men. He opens another one, still empty. A third one, nothing in it. They've been set up. So right now you have all these questions going through your head. Where's the original $100 million they were promised to steal? What's the deal with the dealer? Is Notaro Bartolo really telling the truth? Or is he actually just Tommy DeVito from Goodfellas? I'll get to that in a moment, but I want to bring attention back to Speedy, the whole downfall of the operation. Notaro Bartolo and Speedy separate from the three Italian men and agree to meet each other at the bar back in Turin, Italy. So Speedy is anxious about the whole thing. They have a trash bag full of evidence in the back of the car. I'm talking incriminating evidence, like receipts of tools they bought, such as recording pens and different gadgets used to break in. The original plan is for Notaro Bartolo to stop and burn the evidence in France, but Speedy can't take it anymore and cracks. So Notaro Bartolo gives up and stops in a small Belgian forest on the side of the road, and Speedy loses it. He throws the evidence everywhere, rips tapes, tears off letters, and vents out his anxiety. They then pack up and leave to go back to Italy. First mistake. So the three-piece crew and Speedy plus Notaro Bartolo finish the drive and meet up in a bar northeast of Milan and celebrate. The dealer never shows up. Second mistake. Following the meetup, Notaro Bartolo heads to his Italian home and uses his phone like any normal person would after a heist. Third mistake. Fun fact of the day, did you know that Belgium has 30,689 square kilometers of land? And within those 30,689 kilometers, a man by the name of August Van Camp owns 10 square kilometers of a forest, where people litter all the time. And he complains all the time. And the police never do anything. Well, on the particular morning of February 17th, during his daily grumble through his forest, he trips over garbage. Except this time it's not any garbage. No. It's fine salami sandwich and coffee waste. He goes to report the trash to the police again like usual. Except this time, he mentions a letter he found in the trash titled Antwerp Diamond Center. All hell broke loose. It's February 17th, a day after the crime. The guard on the shift goes down on usual duty. He then sees the crime scene, calls every police force in town, and by 6:20, local police rush the scene with federal detectives arriving soon after. More specifically, we have Patrick Pays and Agim de Briacher, the two lead detectives on the case. The thing is, they didn't have any physical evidence at the crime scene. Notarbartolo's group had done a perfect job at covering evidence at the crime scene. No fingerprints and no DNA everywhere. But that all changed when they received the call from Van Camp. The dumped evidence at the forest of the beer, wine, and salami sandwiches were collected and analyzed for DNA, as well as the receipts for the crowbar, styrofoam covers for the infrared cameras, and duster handles, all matching weapons found at the scene. Finally, there was a business card of an Elio Denorio, an expert Italian technician, who we can now identify as the genius. None of these could put the exact criminals on the map, except for one particular CCTV receipt in the Salami Sandwhich. The receipt identified Notarbartolo as a buyer of a small camera. 4 days later, when searching Notarbartolo's house, they found a receipt of Italian salami bought from a local grocer. When they asked the owner of the grocery store for security cameras at 12:56, February 13th, the time of the receipt printing, and also 2 days before the heist, they found a muscular man purchasing salami. It was all coming together. So the original plan was that Notarbartolo would leave Italy after the celebration drinking at the bar, go back to Antwerp, where he would return his rental car and clear up any potential evidence at his apartment. By this time, however, unknowing to Notarbartolo, the police had enough evidence to apprehend him, so they raided his Italian house. His two sons at the house frantically called him to warn him, but his phone was off, meaning Notarbartolo didn't hear the calls. Once in Antwerp, Notarbartolo strolls into the Diamond Center, where he's quickly apprehended by police. He of course denies everything, but he couldn't deny the SIM cards his wife was strolling out of the apartment with when police arrived. The SIM cards contain everything. Almost all the contacts associated with the crimes were on the SIM cards, except the key holder. Notarbartolo had just made one of the largest mistakes ever in robber etiquette. He didn't destroy the evidence. Notarbartolo is convicted with the incriminating receipts, SIM cards, and diamond certificates found in his associate's house on the French Riviera. The Salami Sandwhich convicts the monster, the genius is convicted because of DNA left on tape he used during the heist, Speedy because of the SIM cards, and they all end up serving 5-year sentences in either Belgium or Italy. But to tie up the final knot, only $20 million worth of jewelry was ever recovered, meaning that the $80 million reported by the bank was still somewhere out there in the wild. This leads into the other explanation. $20 million was recovered in Notarbartolo's house and all the other crew members' homes, all while the remaining $80 million could be hidden somewhere else, waiting for Notarbartolo's release from prison. Right now it's 2021. Notarbartolo has been out of prison for over 10 years. Nothing has been heard from him since his release. Chances are he's somewhere in northern Italy, making coffee, enjoying life, and diving in his fortune, all while giving the middle finger to Belgian police. He's been caught, but he's also made history as a mastermind behind the world's most elaborate heists, and he most likely made millions while doing so. Case closed.